The room was silent except for the soft hum of computers and the occasional beep of monitoring equipment. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, in a facility that didn't exist on any official maps, Alex Donovan stared at the glowing blue core of the quantum displacement drive. After 15 years of work, they were finally ready. "Run the simulation again," Alex said, pushing his glasses up on his nose. The dark circles under his eyes told the story of someone who hadn't properly slept in days. His assistant, Karen White, nodded and tapped on her tablet. The holographic display in the center of the lab came to life, showing a small spacecraft moving at impossible speeds between 2 points in space. "Simulation successful. All parameters within acceptable ranges," Karen announced, trying to keep her voice professional despite her excitement. Alex allowed himself a small smile. "Send the results to Commander Martinez. Tell her we're ready for installation on the prototypes." While the rest of the world thought humanity was decades away from reaching even the nearest stars, Alex and his team had cracked the secret to faster-than-light travel. More importantly, they had done it without alerting the Zentari Empire. The Zentari had arrived in Earth's solar system 20 years ago. They were humanoid but taller, with bluish skin and four-fingered hands. They presented themselves as peaceful explorers, offering limited technology and trade. But it didn't take long for Earth's leaders to understand the truth. The Zentari considered Earth a primitive world, useful only for its resources and as a strategic outpost. In public, Earth's governments maintained friendly relations with the aliens. Behind closed doors, they prepared for the day when the Zentari would show their true intentions. Commander Olivia Martinez stood on the observation deck of the secret lunar base, watching as technicians worked on the sleek black vessels in the enormous underground hangar. 20 ships, each designed to carry the quantum displacement drives that Alex and his team had perfected. 20 ships that would shock the Zentari Empire when the time came. "Commander, we have confirmation from Nevada. The drive is ready for installation," said Lieutenant Paul Fisher, her communications officer. Olivia nodded. "Tell Dr. Donovan his team's work is about to change history. Begin installation on the Defiant first." The UES Defiant was the flagship of humanity's secret fleet. Slightly larger than the other vessels, it carried enhanced weapon systems and the most advanced version of the displacement drive. "What's the status on the Zentari patrols?" Olivia asked. "Their monitoring satellite will pass over the far side in approximately 6 hours," Paul replied. "We'll have the hangar sealed by then." Olivia walked down to the main floor of the hangar, her boots making sharp sounds on the metal stairs. She approached Captain Samantha Cole, who was overseeing the preparation of the Defiant. "Sam, it's time. Alex's team has given us the green light on the drives." Samantha's eyes widened. Already. The last estimate was at least another month. Apparently, they had a breakthrough. "Installation begins today. I want your crew ready for a test run by the end of the week." "Yes, Mom." Samantha hesitated. "Do you think the Zentari suspect anything?" Olivia shook her head. "Their ambassador still treats our officials like we're children. They believe we're focusing all our efforts on developing better fusion reactors for our power grid." She smiled grimly. "They have no idea we've been collecting their technology and improving on it for years." On the surface, Earth continued its daily routines. People went to work, children attended school, and the occasional Zentari ship landed at the designated spaceport in Kenya. The aliens conducted their business, treating humans with polite condescension. Meanwhile, humanity's secret fleet grew stronger. Engineers worked around the clock installing the quantum displacement drives. Crews trained in simulators, preparing for the day when Earth would reveal its true capabilities. Admiral John Russell reviewed the latest reports from the lunar base. The fleet would be ready soon, and not a moment too soon. Intelligence suggested the Zentari Empire was planning something big, something that would change humanity's status forever. But the Zentari weren't the only ones with plans. Humanity was about to show the galaxy that appearances could be deceiving. Admiral John Russell stood at the head of the long table in the United Earth Defense Council chamber. The room was buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, safe from any Zentari scanning technology. The faces of 12 men and women looked back at him, their expressions grim. Ladies and gentlemen, as of 600 hours this morning, we received this transmission from the Zentari Central Command. John nodded to his aide, who played the recording. The blue-skinned face of Emperor Axalfar filled the screen. His four-fingered hands were clasped in front of him in what humans had learned was a gesture of authority. To all systems without faster-than-light capability, the Emperor began, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into English. The glorious Zentari Empire requires additional resources for our continued expansion. All pre-FTL species are hereby reclassified as resource extraction colonies. Your planetary governors will arrive within 30 Earth days. Resistance will not be tolerated. Silence filled the room when the recording ended. Is this being broadcast throughout the galaxy? Asked Secretary Nancy Clark, her voice steady despite the threat they had just heard. Yes, John replied. Our monitoring stations have picked up the same message in over 50 different languages. It seems the Zentari are making their move on all fronting planets at once. General Steve Rogers slammed his fist on the table. They think we'll just roll over, accept their governors, and become their slaves. That's exactly what they think, John said. They believe we have no choice, no means to fight back, no way to escape our solar system. President Jane Miller, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke. Admiral Russell, what are our options? John straightened his shoulders. Madam President, we have three choices. First, we can comply and hope for lenient treatment. Second, we can reveal our fleet and risk immediate attack from the full might of the Zentari Empire. Or third, we can execute Operation Thunderbolt. Operation Thunderbolt? Asked Defense Minister Greg Peterson. I'm not familiar with this plan. John pressed a button, and a holographic display appeared above the table. It showed Earth's secret fleet spreading out across different star systems. We don't need to win a war against the entire empire, John explained. We just need to demonstrate that we're not the primitive species they think we are. Operation Thunderbolt will have our ships appear simultaneously at key Zentari locations. We show them our FTL capability without firing a single shot unless attacked. And if they do attack? President Miller asked. Then we show them what else we've been hiding, John replied. But the goal is to force them to the negotiating table. They respect strength and technology. Once they know we have FTL drives, their entire calculation about Earth changes. The council members looked at each other, weighing the risks. How soon can this operation be launched? The president asked. The fleet is ready. Captain Cole and the Defiant can lead the first phase within 48 hours. The rest of the fleet can follow within 72. President Miller stood, and everyone else rose with her. Admiral Russell, you have 72 hours to prepare. I want contingency plans for every possible Zentari response. Yes, Madam President. Back at the lunar base, Commander Martinez received her orders. She called all ship captains to the briefing room. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come, she announced to the gathered officers. The Zentari have declared all pre-FTL worlds to be resource colonies. They're coming for Earth. Captain Samantha Cole leaned forward. So we're going to show them we're not pre-FTL after all. Olivia nodded. Exactly. The Defiant will lead the first phase, appearing at the Proxima Centauri mining station. 5 other ships will join you seconds later. Your orders are simple. Demonstrate our capabilities, deliver the message prepared by diplomatic corps, and avoid conflict if possible. And if conflict isn't avoidable, asked Captain Frank Miller of the UES Intrepid. Then you show them exactly what Earth vessels can do, Olivia replied. But remember, we're not trying to start a war. We're trying to change the rules of the game. As the captains left to prepare their crews, Olivia stared at the star map on the wall. Humanity was about to announce itself to the galaxy in a way no one expected. Everything would change in the next 3 days. The countdown to Operation Thunderbolt had begun. Captain Samantha Cole sat in the command chair of the UES Defiant. Her crew worked quietly at their stations, each person aware of the importance of their mission. The ship was hidden in a crater on the far side of the moon, ready for launch. "All systems check complete, Captain," said Lieutenant Ryan Moore from the operations console. "Quantum displacement drive is at full power." Samantha nodded. "Communications. Secure channel open to all fleet vessels," replied Communications Officer Kelly Parker. "Lunar Command is standing by." Engineering. Chief Engineer Alan Foster looked up from his station. "Drive is stable, Captain. We're ready to make history." Samantha took a deep breath. This was the moment humanity had been preparing for over the last decade. Open channel to Commander Martinez. Olivia's face appeared on the main screen. "Captain Cole, is the Defiant ready?" "Yes, Commander. All systems go." "Good. Remember your orders. Show them what we can do, deliver the message, and avoid conflict if possible." Olivia paused. "The future of Earth depends on this mission, Sam. Make it count." "We will, Commander." Defiant out. The screen returned to a view of stars. Samantha stood and addressed her crew. "This is it, people. In a few minutes, we'll be the first human ship to use FTL travel outside our solar system. More importantly, we'll be showing the Zentari Empire that humans aren't the simple creatures they think we are." She smiled at her nervous but determined crew. "Let's make humanity proud." She returned to her chair. Navigation. Set coordinates for the Proxima Centauri mining station. Lieutenant Diane Young entered the coordinates. "Course set, Captain." "Activate quantum displacement drive on my mark." Samantha looked around the bridge one last time. 3, 2, 1. Mark. The stars on the view screen blurred. A blue glow surrounded the ship as the quantum displacement drive activated. There was a moment of strange pressure, like being deep underwater, and then clarity returned. The red dwarf star of Proxima Centauri now filled part of the view screen. Orbiting it was the massive Zentari mining station, a structure that looked like a metal spider clinging to a small asteroid. "We've arrived at Proxima Centauri," Diane reported, her voice full of wonder. Transit time was 2.7 seconds. The drive performed perfectly. "No Zentari vessels have detected us yet," said Tactical Officer Joe Adams. "We're still running silent." Samantha nodded. "Move us into position, 1,000 kilometers from the mining station. Prepare to drop our cloak." The Defiant glided closer to the station. When they reached their designated position, Samantha gave the order. "Drop cloak and activate all systems. Let them see us." The ship's cloaking technology deactivated, and suddenly the Defiant was visible to all Zentari sensors. It took only seconds for alarms to start blaring on the mining station. "We're being scanned," Joe reported. "They've activated their defense systems. 2 patrol ships are moving to intercept." "Hold position," Samantha ordered. "Open a channel to the station." The main screen flickered, and a confused Zentari officer appeared. His blue skin had turned almost purple with shock. "This is Captain Samantha Cole of the United Earth ship Defiant. The terms of our relationship are about to change." The Zentari officer struggled to respond. "How? Impossible. Humans don't have FTL technology." Samantha finished for him. "That's what you were led to believe." At that moment, space around them rippled as 5 more Earth ships appeared, surrounding the mining station in a perfect formation. "As you can see," Samantha continued, "Earth is no longer a pre-FTL civilization. We formally reject the Zentari Empire's classification of Earth as a resource extraction colony." The Zentari officer was frantically speaking to someone off-screen. Finally, he turned back. "You must speak with the sector governor. This is unprecedented." "That's exactly why we're here," Samantha replied. "To show you the unprecedented. Tell your emperor that Earth requests formal recognition as an FTL-capable civilization with all associated rights under galactic law." As the officer stammered a response, Samantha looked at the sensor readings showing the Centauri patrol ships backing away cautiously. Phase 1 of Operation Thunderbolt was complete. The revelation had begun. Across 6 other star systems, Earth ships were appearing at the same moment, delivering the same message. The Centauri Empire was about to face a reality they never expected. The Great Hall of the Centauri High Council on Sol Prime was in chaos. Reports flooded in from 7 different star systems about human ships appearing out of nowhere. The council members shouted over each other, their blue skin turning darker with agitation. Emperor Exalfar raised his 4-fingered hand, and silence fell across the room. "Explain this," he demanded of his science minister. Minister Kelvon bowed nervously. "Great Emperor, it appears the humans have developed faster-than-light technology without our knowledge. They are currently present at 7 of our key installations. Impossible." A general hissed from across the table. "Their fusion technology is primitive. They should be centuries away from FTL travel." "And yet," said Exalfar quietly, "human ships sit in our territory right now. Have they attacked?" "No, Emperor," replied the defense minister. "They have merely appeared and delivered messages rejecting their classification as a resource extraction colony. They demand formal recognition as an FTL-capable civilization." The Emperor was about to respond when a servant rushed in. "Great Emperor, forgive the interruption. A human ship has just appeared in orbit around Sol Prime. They request permission to send a diplomatic shuttle to the surface." Silence fell again, heavier this time. No non-Centauri ship had ever been allowed to approach the imperial capital. "The humans are more bold than I expected," Xalfar said finally. "Grant them permission. I wish to see these surprising creatures face to face." Ambassador William Gray adjusted his formal suit as the Earth shuttle descended toward the Centauri capital. Beside him, Chief Science Officer Patricia Winters reviewed data on her tablet. "Remember," William said quietly, "show confidence but not arrogance. The Centauri respect strength, but punish perceived insults harshly." Patricia nodded. "I've prepared technical schematics that will prove our FTL capabilities without revealing any critical secrets." The shuttle landed in the central plaza of the gleaming Centauri capital. Tall spires of crystal and metal stretched toward the sky. The architecture was beautiful, but clearly designed to intimidate visitors with its scale. William and Patricia, along with 4 security officers, stepped onto Centauri soil. A delegation of blue-skinned officials waited for them. "Ambassador Gray," said the lead Centauri with a slight bow. "I am Minister Varzin. The Emperor awaits you in the Great Hall." William returned the bow. "Thank you for your welcome, Minister. Earth looks forward to establishing new relations with the Centauri Empire." They were led through massive doorways and long corridors decorated with murals showing Centauri victories throughout the galaxy. The message was clear. The Empire had conquered many worlds before. Finally, they entered the Great Hall. Emperor Xalfar sat on an elevated throne. His skin was a deeper blue than other Centauri, and gold patterns decorated his face. "Ambassador Gray of Earth," the Emperor's voice echoed in the vast chamber. "You have surprised us today." William stepped forward and bowed precisely to the depth that indicated respect between equals, not the deeper bow of a subject. He noted the subtle ripple of shock that passed through the watching Centauri. "Emperor Xalfar, I bring greetings from Earth. We regret the need for such a dramatic introduction, but your recent decree left us little choice." The Emperor studied William with large, multifaceted eyes. "You claim to have FTL technology. This is unexpected." Patricia stepped forward. "With your permission, Emperor." She activated her tablet, and a hologram appeared showing the basic principles of Earth's quantum displacement drive. "As you can see," she explained, "our approach differs fundamentally from Centauri fold space technology. We developed quantum displacement independent of any outside influence." The Centauri science minister moved closer, his eyes wide. "This is genuine," he whispered to the Emperor. "Different from our methods, but clearly functional." Emperor Xalfar leaned forward. "If what you show is true, Your classification must indeed be reconsidered. But know this, humans, developing such technology in secret could be seen as an act of deception. William smiled diplomatically, just as classifying us as a resource colony could be seen as an act of aggression. Perhaps we both have much to learn about each other, Emperor. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. The future of Earth-Centauri relations hung in the balance. News spread quickly through the galaxy. Humans, a species that many had dismissed as primitive, had revealed an advanced fleet with FTL capability. The impact was felt most strongly among other species who lived under Centauri rule. Lieutenant Ben Howard stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty as it orbited the green-blue planet of Arcturia Prime. The Arcturians were tall, slender beings with pale skin that seemed to shimmer under their planet's twin suns. "They're responding to our transmission," said communications specialist Kelly Roberts. "The Arcturian Council requests a meeting." Ben nodded. "Tell them we accept. Prepare the shuttle." For centuries, the Arcturians have been forced to serve the Centauri Empire. Their advanced medical knowledge made them valuable, but they had never been treated as equals. Now, with Earth showing that the Centauri could be challenged, the Arcturians saw an opportunity. Ben and Kelly, along with 2 security officers, took the shuttle down to the surface. They were met by a delegation of Arcturians, led by Council Speaker Thola. "We welcome Earth representatives," Thola said, her voice musical and light. "Your appearance in our system has caused much excitement." Ben smiled. "Thank you for meeting with us. Earth believes that all species deserve freedom and self-determination." Thala led them to a beautiful building made of living plants woven together to form walls and ceilings. Inside, the full Arcturian Council waited. "For too long, we have lived under Centauri control," Thala explained to the assembled council. "The humans have shown us that resistance is possible." An elder council member raised his hand. "But what do the humans want in return? Will they simply replace the Centauri as our new masters?" Ben shook his head. "Earth doesn't seek to rule anyone. We're building a coalition of free species. Together, we can ensure that no single power dominates the galaxy again." He activated a holographic display showing Earth's proposal for a new alliance. Trade routes, shared defense, and cultural exchange were the focus, not conquest or control. The council members whispered among themselves, their expressions hopeful but cautious. "The Centauri will not accept this easily," warned one council member. "They will strike back with force." "We're prepared for that possibility," Ben replied. "Earth's fleet may be smaller than the Centauri Armada, but our technology gives us advantages they don't expect." While Ben spoke with the Arcturians, similar conversations were happening on 11 other worlds. Earth had carefully chosen species that had suffered under Centauri rule, but still maintained their cultural identity and technological capabilities. Together, they could form a powerful alliance. Back on Earth, Admiral John Russell reviewed reports from all the diplomatic teams. The response was better than they had hoped. Already, 4 species had pledged to join Earth's coalition. Others were considering it, weighing the risks against the promise of freedom. "The Centauri haven't launched any military response yet," reported his aide. "Their ships are on high alert, but they haven't moved against our fleet." John nodded. "They're reassessing. Our technology caught them by surprise, and now they're wondering what else we might have hidden." In the Lunar Base Command Center, Commander Olivia Martinez studied the galactic map. Colored dots showed the positions of Earth ships and potential allies. The map was changing by the hour as more species responded to Earth's call. "Message from Ambassador Gray," said her communications officer. "The Centauri have agreed to formal talks. They're sending a diplomatic delegation to neutral space." Olivia allowed herself a small smile. "It's working. Phase 1 of Operation Thunderbolt is complete." But she knew the most dangerous phase was yet to come. The Centauri Empire had not maintained control of 1,000 star systems by giving up easily. They might be talking peace while planning war. "Alert all ships," she ordered. "Maintain defensive posture and be ready for anything. The Zentari may smile at our ambassadors while their warships move into position. Across the galaxy, the balance of power was shifting. Species that had lived in fear of the Empire for generations now looked to Earth with hope. A new coalition was forming, not through conquest, but through the promise of freedom and mutual respect. The game had changed, and the Zentari knew it. The question was, how would they respond? Grand Admiral Zexkar of the Zentari Imperial Fleet slammed his four-fingered hand against the command console. His dark blue skin had taken on a purple tinge, a sign of extreme anger among his species. "The humans have made fools of us," he hissed to his officers. "For years we believed them to be simple creatures, barely able to reach their own moon without our help." His second-in-command, Commander Velder, studied the tactical display. "Their ships have appeared in 7 systems, but none have fired weapons. They seem intent on diplomacy rather than war." "Diplomacy is for the weak," Zexkar replied. "The Emperor may speak with their ambassador, but I will show them the true might of the Zentari Empire." He pointed to the holographic display showing Earth's solar system. "Prepare the Imperial Armada. We will target their homeworld directly. Once Earth is threatened, their scattered fleet will have no choice but to return to defend it." "But Admiral," Velder cautioned, "the Emperor has not authorized military action." Zexkar's eyes narrowed. "By the time the Emperor realizes the need for force, I will have already secured victory. Ready the fleet." Across the vast Zentari shipyards orbiting their homeworld, warships began to power up. 200 vessels of various sizes formed into attack formation. At their center was the Emperor's Fist, the largest battleship in the Imperial fleet. The Armada entered fold space, their version of FTL travel, heading toward the Sol system. Their plan was simple: emerge at the edge of the system and advance on Earth with overwhelming force. The humans would have no choice but to surrender. But Captain Frank Miller and the crew of the UES Intrepid had anticipated this move. Hidden in the shadow of Pluto, they observed as the space ahead of them rippled and tore open. The Zentari warships emerged from fold space exactly where Earth's intelligence had predicted. "All ships in position," reported Frank's tactical officer, Lisa Johnson. "The defensive grid is ready." Frank nodded. "Activate the quantum displacement field on my mark." He waited until the last Zentari ship had emerged from fold space. Mark. Across the outer edge of the solar system, hidden Earth vessels activated a technology the Zentari had never seen before. A web of energy spread between the ships, creating a field that disrupted the specific quantum frequencies needed for fold space travel. On the Emperor's Fist, alarms blared as systems suddenly went offline. "What's happening?" demanded Zexkar. "Admiral, fold space engines are non-responsive," reported a panicked officer. "We cannot return to fold space." "Impossible," Zexkar shouted. "Find the source of this interference." Before they could respond, space around the Zentari fleet rippled again. Earth vessels appeared, surrounding the Armada in a perfect formation. Though far fewer in number, they had positioned themselves strategically. "Zentari fleet," Frank's voice transmitted to all enemy ships. "This is Captain Frank Miller of the United Earth ship Intrepid. You have entered Earth space with hostile intent. Your fold space capabilities have been temporarily disabled by our quantum displacement field." On the bridge of the Emperor's Fist, Zexkar stared in disbelief at the sensor readings. The human ships were smaller than his warships, but the energy readings were unlike anything Zentari sensors had ever detected. "You are outnumbered," Zexkar replied. "Surrender your ships immediately." Frank smiled. "I suggest you check your long-range sensors, Admiral." As Zexkar did so, his eyes widened. Beyond the Earth vessels, a defensive grid of satellites had activated. Each one generated an energy signature identical to the quantum displacement drives of the human ships. "This is Earth's home system," Frank continued. "We've had decades to prepare its defenses. You can't use fold space to escape, and if you attack, you'll discover what else we've been developing besides FTL technology." For the first time in his long military career, Grand Admiral Zexkar faced a situation he couldn't win through force. The humans had outmaneuvered him completely. In the 3,000-year history of the Zentari Empire, no species had ever managed to neutralize their fleet so effectively. The message was clear. Earth wasn't just announcing its arrival on the galactic stage. It was changing the rules of the game entirely. Emperor Xalthar stared at the emergency transmission from Grand Admiral Zexkar. The Admiral's face showed a mix of anger and fear, emotions rarely seen in a high-ranking Zentari officer. "You acted without my permission," the Emperor said coldly. "Now your fleet is trapped in the human system." "The humans tricked us," Zexkar protested. "They have technology that disables our fold space drives. We cannot retreat." The Emperor's inner circle had gathered in the private council chamber. Some called for all-out war against Earth. Others urged caution. "The humans have outsmarted us," said Science Minister Kelvon. "If they can disable our fold space drives, what other technologies might they have developed in secret?" Military Commander Borzek pounded the table. "We must crush them now. Send the rest of the fleet." Diplomat Shenva shook her head. "That would be unwise. The humans aren't attacking Admiral Zexkar's ships. They're showing restraint while demonstrating power, a classic negotiating position." The Emperor considered both arguments. For 3,000 years, the Zentari Empire had expanded through superior technology and military might. No species had ever managed to stop them. Until now. While the Emperor's inner circle debated, Flight Commander Eric Taylor led a series of precise strikes across Zentari space. But these weren't military attacks. They were surgical demonstrations of Earth's capabilities. Eric sat in the cockpit of his small, fast ship, the UES Swift. Alongside him flew 4 similar vessels, each piloted by Earth's best. "Target in sight," he told his squad. "Remember, minimum damage, maximum impact." Below them was a major Zentari military base on the planet Corvus Ii. It housed communication systems that coordinated fleet movements across 3 sectors, deploying precision disruptors in 3, 2, 1. Small devices dropped from the Earth ships. They fell through the atmosphere and landed on key points around the base. There was no explosion. No destruction, just a pulse of energy that temporarily disabled all communication systems. At the same moment, Earth ships appeared above 6 other military installations across Zentari space. Each performed similar non-destructive but highly effective strikes. On Earth, Defense Secretary Nancy Clark coordinated with representatives from 12 newly liberated worlds. They gathered in a secure conference room deep beneath Geneva. "The Arcturians have pledged their medical ships to the Alliance," reported an aide. "The Tellarites are providing advanced shield technology." Nancy nodded. "And what about the Dorvan system?" "They're still hesitant. They fear Zentari retaliation." "Show them the feed from Corvus Ii," Nancy ordered. "Let them see that we can neutralize Zentari military capabilities without destruction or loss of life." The representatives watched as screens showed the precision strikes happening across Zentari space. Earth wasn't behaving like a typical rising power. There was no revenge, no attempt to replace the Zentari as conquerors. Instead, they demonstrated just enough force to show what they could do, while offering peace and cooperation. "Our message must be consistent," Nancy told the gathered representatives. "The era of empire has ended. An age of cooperation will begin, by choice or by necessity." In the Lunar Command Center, Admiral John Russell received reports from all fronts. The Zentari Emperor had ordered Admiral Zexkar to stand down. The trapped fleet remained in Earth's solar system, but had powered down weapons. "It's working," John told Commander Martinez. "The Emperor is calling for a full council meeting with representatives from Earth and our allies." Olivia studied the tactical display. "Do you think they're sincere or just buying time?" "Both, probably. The hardliners want war, but the pragmatists see that the game has changed. Our job now is to make sure the pragmatists win." Across the galaxy, species that had lived under Centauri rule for generations watched with hope and amazement. A small planet, one that many had never even heard of, had accomplished what none thought possible. They had stopped the seemingly unstoppable Centauri Empire, not through superior numbers or destructive force, but through innovation, strategy, and the careful application of power. Earth had changed the galaxy forever, and there was no going back. 6 months after Earth revealed its fleet, the UES Concordia hovered in neutral space between the Centauri Empire and Earth-controlled territory. The ship was the newest and largest in Earth's fleet, designed specifically for diplomatic missions. Captain Jason Peters stood by the main viewport, watching as shuttles arrived from 27 different worlds. Each carried representatives for the historic treaty signing that would reshape the galaxy. "Nervous?" asked his first officer, Linda Garcia. Jason smiled. "A little. 6 months ago, most of these species had never heard of humans. Now we're hosting the most important diplomatic event in 1,000 years." The Concordia's main conference room had been transformed for the occasion. A massive round table dominated the center, with flags and symbols from all participating worlds displayed around the walls. Earth's blue and white flag stood equal in size to the imperial banner of the Centauri. As the representatives took their seats, Jason noted the change in the Centauri delegation. Gone were the arrogant expressions and dismissive gestures. Now they moved with caution, watching the humans carefully. Emperor Exalthar had not come himself, but had sent his heir, Prince Zortan, along with several high ministers. The young prince seemed more curious than hostile, studying the humans and other species with genuine interest. Ambassador William Gray opened the proceedings. "Representatives of the galaxy, welcome to this historic day. Today, we sign the Concordia Treaty, establishing new relationships between all our worlds." Engineer Maria Gonzalez stood next to a holographic display showing the basic principles of Earth's quantum displacement drive. As part of this treaty, Earth will share aspects of our FTL technology with all signatories, she explained. No single power will control the stars again. This announcement caused murmurs around the table. The Centauri ministers whispered urgently to Prince Zortan. "You would give away your greatest advantage?" asked the prince, his multifaceted eyes studying Maria carefully. She nodded. "Not all aspects, but enough for each world to develop their own FTL capabilities. Free travel between the stars should not be controlled by any one species." The prince turned to his advisors again, then made a decision that would change his empire forever. The Centauri Transitional Government agrees to these terms. The words transitional government were not lost on anyone present. In the 6 months since Operation Thunderbolt began, the Centauri Empire had undergone massive internal changes. The hardliners who had pushed for war had lost influence. Younger, more progressive voices were rising, led by Prince Zortan himself. One by one, representatives came forward to sign the treaty. The Arcturians, with their advanced medical knowledge. The Tellarites, masters of shield technology. The Dorvan, whose navigational systems were unmatched. And 24 other species, each bringing their own strengths to the new alliance. When all signatures were complete, Captain Jason Peters raised a glass in a toast. To a new beginning. Not an empire, but a commonwealth of equals. Back on Earth, crowds gathered in cities worldwide to watch the ceremony. 6 months earlier, many humans had not even known about the secret fleet. Now they celebrated as Earth took its place as a leader in galactic affairs. In the Oval Office, President Jane Miller watched with Admiral John Russell and Defense Secretary Nancy Clark. "Did you ever imagine this outcome when you started building the fleet?" the president asked. John shook his head. "We hoped to avoid becoming a Centauri colony. We never dreamed we'd help create a whole new galactic order." On the lunar base, Commander Olivia Martinez and Alex Donovan watched the same broadcast. The engineer who had developed the quantum displacement drive smiled at the sight of Maria explaining his technology to the gathered representatives. "We did it," Olivia said quietly. We changed everything. Alex nodded. And we did it the human way. Not through overwhelming force, but through innovation and cooperation. Across the stars, from Earth to Xol Prime and beyond, a new era had begun. Trade routes opened between worlds that had never communicated before. Scientific cooperation replaced military competition. The Zentari Empire had been transformed into a commonwealth of equals. Humanity had not only saved itself from colonization, but had fundamentally transformed the galaxy. And they had done it not by becoming conquerors themselves, but by offering a better way forward for all species.